Welcome back, guys. This is Automotive Anonymous, and today we're going to be reviewing a 2023 Chevy Suburban High Country in Radiant Red tint coat. The High Country is the highest trim level of the six. This one is spec'd to about $90,000. We need to find out, is it worth that? Or should you be spending your money somewhere else? Big thanks to the Twin Falls Chevy for letting me borrow it for the day. We're going to dive right in with a walk around, go through the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 with the GPS, and foreshadowing. It's pretty fast. And then final thoughts to decide, is it worth it or is it not? I've driven a Yukon XL for this year, the Denali. I've driven a 24 Silverado and a bunch of 23 Silverados. So I have a little bit of extra seat time behind a platform like this. But the Suburban variant is actually in the 12th generation that started in 2021. So with that said, let's dive right in. I'm going to show you under the hood and on the inside in just a second, but I do want to mention in the High Country, you can get either the 3-liter diesel or the 6.2. This one has the 6.2, which is my favorite engine in Chevrolets. And you can either have two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive configuration. The way a base model would start is about $58,000. The way a High Country starts is about $80,000. So after the options this has, the paint color, destination, that's why it's about $90,000. The only thing that's really new for this model year is now you can get Super Cruise in the High Country, but this one doesn't have it. These are fantastic but very large SUVs. They're roughly 19 feet long. They're about 6.5 feet tall and 6 3/4 foot wide. They have about 8 inches of ground clearance and then a 323 final drive ratio. So it's pretty decent at putting the MPG down, but not as much twisty torque as a more aggressive final drive ratio would be. Gas tank's located right there on the driver's side. It's a 28-gallon tank. So if you're getting about 14 in the city, 18 on the highway, you're gonna be road tripping for about 500 miles in your comfy Suburban. Can the kids, the pets, and grandma wait 500 miles before a pit stop? I don't know. That's for you to decide. But what I've decided on is I really like the functional aero that this has to offer. The wheelbase is nearly 12 feet long. It takes about 50 feet to do a full circle, but it has MagneRide suspension, a lot of safety features that make this a really comfortable ride. It is only a 4-star crash test overall, but some of those safety features include front camera, 360-degree camera, a nice heads-up display, adaptive cruise control, all the airbags, blind spot monitoring, rear cross-traffic alert, front braking, pedestrian detection. You really have a lot of active and passive safety features when you're shopping Suburban. Modern cars are seriously so much safer than the older stuff, and you pay for that. But my day job is physical therapy, so when I work with people who are in car accidents, trust me, none of them would probably regret paying a few extra thousand to be safer and avoid what might have happened. These have a payload of up to about 1,800 pounds. That means how many people and stuff you can fit in the vehicle and weigh it down. Otherwise, they weigh about 6,200 pounds themselves, and they can tow about 7,500 pounds in this configuration. This behemoth SUV competes against things like the Palisade, the QX80, and of course, the other in the triplet bunch, the Escalade and the Yukon XL. In the United States every year, Chevy sells about 50,000 Suburbans in recent years, but some previous years they've sold over 100,000. So these are a very popular option. They're known for durability, reliability, and having a lot of features for the price tag. This one though, being $90,000, you could look at some other options too and decide for yourself. I want to know though in the comments, what are you comparing it to? And if you're ready to see the interior, like this video, because that's where we're going right now. I just want to mention that the wheels on this one are a 275/55/22, so that's a big wheel. It looks really good though, and you still have a little bit of sidewall. But let's check out the proximity key features, lock, unlock, or the key hidden in the remote. Otherwise, it does have remote start. Let's get into the cabin. The door panel of this looks incredible. A lot of brown materials, wood trim, and all the options that you typically need with some memory seats. This does have that second pocket that I love, Bose speakers, and then your typical bottle holder that's slanted, and a full door pocket worth of snack storage. The running board drops down when you open the door. It is electronically controlled. You do have High Country with the mountains on the door sill. Really nice all-weather mats, rubberized pedals, OBD2 port, hood release, 4x4 options, electronic parking brake, the extra options you have on this one, and your lighting controls. Otherwise, check out these 10-way power seats. They look fantastic. High Country stamped in the headrest, and then the pano roof up top. Inside the High Country is actually such a nice place to be. We're gonna fire it up with the 6.2 roar to life. Starts right up. The center display, it's about 12 inches. It looks really good. You have your adaptive cruise settings on the left with your heated steering wheel, which I do like because it even heats up the 6 o'clock position, which is what I really like on these trucks. And then you have your voice controls and just your toggles for that center display. It's just the typical upgraded Chevy system, which works really good and has great clarity. Otherwise, when you're sitting in here, you're extremely comfortable. The armrest is where it should be. Otherwise, you can easily adjust the seat to get comfortable. The horn sounds decent. You have your gear select up here on the dash. You push down for park or neutral. You pull for reverse or drive, and then the low is down here. And when you're in reverse, or if you just want to open up the camera, you have a lot of options with that 360-degree view, which I think is just really a cool thing. Anyways, we're gonna put it back in the park. You have a really good ventilation. Those Bose speakers sound fantastic. I was listening to them earlier. And then physical buttons for navigating through the screen if you don't want to use the touchscreen features, and physical climate control buttons the way it should be. You can warm up your back and your bum with that, your back, or cool down yourself right there. We have a 12 volt down here, some USBs, wireless charging, which is rubber lined, really nice. And then 2 decent sized cup holders that do have the handle slot in the middle. You can set your phone up here, and then you have a nice big storage, but there's no plugins. Why are there no plugins? At least it's rubber lined and it's decently sized. Up top, we can slide the front half of the pano roof. You can also tilt it if you want, or the sunshade. Something else you can do up here is there are buttons to drop the 3rd row. Pretty cool, isn't it? And then you have your controls for that rear power liftgate, and then your HomeLink settings right there. You also have the camera view, which you'll probably see during a driving moment as well. Otherwise, I think we are gonna turn off the car, hop in the back. It's cool that you get the proximity key lock and unlock feature, even on the back door. The door panel looks fantastic. Again, all the same material, soft touch. You get the extra storage for your snacks, bottle holder, full door pocket. Bose speakers advertised, of course, the running board follows you in the back, and then you even get the High Country door sill plate. Pretty cool. And then there's a few ways to get into the back row. You can either go through the back here, through the center, or you can climb over the back seats if you go through the hatch. I'm gonna show you one of the easier ways though. We're gonna drop the seat forward with that. We're gonna use the strap to pull it up and over, and then you have a nice big opening to get back there. Otherwise, we're gonna bring it back down. We're gonna lift it back up. Just make sure that it clicks. You're gonna have to put the headrest back in its position, and then this front lever helps you to slide, because that's apparently more convenient than just having a bar like you typically would see. Otherwise, you do have a grab handle on the B-pillar. We're gonna use it to get into the High Country. Sitting behind myself, I'm 5'11". I have about a hand's worth of room in front of my knees from my current position. I have a map pocket, so I can be a backseat driver. I have cup holders, ventilation, heated seats, household style outlet, basically everything I want back here. And I'm feeling generous, so I'm gonna slide forward just a little bit and give the backseat passengers a little bit more room, because the next thing to do is climb back there and see how we fit in the 3rd row of the Suburban. I do want to mention these are captain chairs, so you get up and down armrests. Otherwise, if we just look back here, you have a plug-in on the wall, you have a cup holder, some extra storage. There is storage underneath the seats if you need it. And it's honestly extremely easy to get back here. We're gonna pop up the headrest, seatbelts on the roof, and we're gonna enjoy what it's like back here. So sitting behind myself again, you actually have room. If you guys have seen any of my other 3-row SUV videos I've done recently, you know how tight those are. But you don't have a center armrest. So you're gonna have to find something to prop your heavy burdened arm on if you need it. Otherwise, we are just gonna go around the way we came as one option, climb into the back as the other option, drop the seat like this if we want. I guess we still have to lift it up though. But you have options for how you get in or out of your Suburban. Now that we're on the back side of it again, there's a few ways to open it. You can either use that button that you just saw on the inside. You can use the remote, or you can just grab the handle down here and it has the power liftgate. But since we're down here admiring the quad dual tip exhaust, let's give it a listen. It's pretty mild, as you heard. It would sound really good with an aftermarket exhaust system, but the dual tips look fantastic. Something kind of cool is you can pop the glass, although I personally prefer if it was more like the Toyotas or the 4Runner where the glass just goes into the tailgate. Anyways, we're gonna pop power lift gate now. You have 41.5 cubic feet behind the third row, which is absolutely insane. But so is the length of this vehicle. That's where you get it from. There's not much other than tie downs and a little bit of room up top on the driver's side, but you do have an outlet back here. And then you can drop the front seats, which are pretty cool. And same thing with the back. So you don't have to be running all over to do these things you need to do. The thing is though, the back third row is powered just like from the front. The second row is not. But when you do have both of these back rows dropped, you have 144 cubic feet of room, which is insane. Things like the Ascent are in the 80s, things like an Outback are in the 70s. You know, this is a big 3-row SUV. Anyways, you have some storage down here, tucked away, and then your spare tire with the tools are under there. Time to drop the hatch and continue on. Door panel looks the same as the driver's rear. And then this is where we left off. Again, it's pretty easy to bring the seats back up, but then you have to slide them back to your desired position, pop the headrest. But thankfully they're not too heavy, it's not too difficult to do. When you're riding shotgun in the Suburban, you're gonna be having a really good time. Remember, fantastic door panel, again, the double pockets, Bose speakers. Nice entryway, 10-way power adjustment. Backpack's just blending in with the seat, having a good time. High Country stamped on. And then you have storage here on both driver and passenger side. Locking glove box. No plugins or anything, but it's adequate size. And then you have a secret storage compartment, which makes up for not having the upper glove box if you were in the Silverado or Sierra. But I know what you guys are waiting for. Let's finally get to popping the hood and taking it for a drive to see how this puppy performs on the road. And there it is. This is an awesome offering. You have your reservoirs over there, the oil fill, air filter, induction, all the baffling that makes this engine quiet. And then the upper intake manifold on this big 6.2 liter. It makes 420 horse at about 5,600 RPM. 460 pound-feet of torque at about 4,000 RPM, so it feels powerful and very linear no matter where you are in the power band. Batteries on the passenger side, 10-speed transmission, which is a really good, very quick shifting transmission compared to the old Chevy truck days and Suburban days. And overall, it's just an awesome offering. These are really reliable engines and one that I'm excited to now take on the road. Time to teleport to the road for our initial driving impressions, and that's 0 to 60. Initial driving impressions of the High Country Suburban is that it's honestly really good. Visibility is fantastic. It looks like you're looking down on normal full-size trucks, which is often the case when you're in something fairly high yourself, even though they might have a similar opinion from their point of view and their seat position. But it's seriously such a good cabin. It's just like that Denali XL that I did a few months ago. But the brown interior of this one is just phenomenal. Super comfortable everywhere you look. Very high-tech features, like if you can see the heads-up display. The camera that you guys know I love to just leave on while I'm cruising in one of these test drives because it's good clarity. It's fun that you can have many of the 360-degree views. There's a wide-body Hellcat right there. Kind of cool. And power. The 6.2 does its job. This is my favorite engine of all the Chevy engines. Even though it's, you know, it's not been updated in a long time, I really like the 6.2. Overall, it's really quiet in here, even with all the glass that you have through the visibility, through the pano roof. Chevy really does a good job with their top model Suburban to keep it cool and quiet. Heated seats, heated wheel, they all work really good. Ventilated seats are fine too. The armrest is comfortable. You have ample amount of storage in here, as you guys saw. It's just a really nice place to be. Our backpack is comfortable. The seats are well bolstered. All the power options, they get you comfortable. It's easy to find a good position. And because of how big this vehicle is, you could be, you know, 5 foot tall. You could be almost 7 foot tall, I'm sure, and still be pretty comfortable. At 5'11", I have no problem in here. I think that the rear view camera is a pretty cool feature, if that helps you get past any distractions that are happening inside of the cabin. But it takes a little bit of time to get used to if you're not used to one of those. With the wheelbase this has, the weight and the presence on the road, it feels good, but it is actually pretty sporty. I recently hopped out of the redesigned front end on the 2024 Silverado 3500 HD with the big heavy Allison and the Duramax in the front. That's a front heavy truck. This one, with a little bit more weight over those real wheels, feel quite a bit better, much more sporty. It still has a decent amount of body roll because it's a big vehicle. You know, when you weigh 6,000 pounds or more, that's just what you get. It's hard to go around physics, especially when you're up high like this. The brakes work well. No sharp engagement point. It's just the more pedal you give, the more you can feel it. But overall, it's a fantastic offering. Why does it cost 90 grand? Well, it's one of the nicest vehicles you may ever sit in the year 2023. It's kind of crazy that that used to be how much a house cost. Maybe the average house 30 years ago. I mean, there's no reason why you couldn't live in here if you need to. You'll just have to have a P.O. box. But honestly, guys, it's a really cool vehicle. I think you absolutely need to drive one if you want to fit your whole family in here, if you want to haul a bunch of stuff. The Suburban, or even the shorter length Tahoe, or its Yukon and Yukon XL twins, you know, the siblings. They're really good options. There's a reason why over 100,000 of these are sold on the typical year. Anyways, guys, let's get to the 0 to 60. Let's see how fast this 6.2 is when it's hauling me around in 6,000 pounds of SUV. We are in 4 auto. Traction control's off. I'm gonna brake rev the 10-speed transmission and see if the brakes can hold us from the 460 pound-feet of torque. And then I'll verbalize the true 0 to 60, and the bottom left of the graph after shows without the foot of rollout. Keep in mind, density altitude here is about 3,600 feet, so this vehicle is down on power about 12%. The brakes weren't holding, so we just had to let it go. 7.35 true seconds. Without the foot of rollout, I'm speculating it's about 7 seconds flat. At our altitude, with this big of a vehicle, that's honestly pretty impressive. Let's get to our final thoughts. Final thoughts of the 23 Suburban High Country is it's an absolutely phenomenal SUV. It feels surprisingly sporty and agile on the road for weighing 6,000 pounds. I love that 6.2. I like the 360-degree cameras, and it has so much room for the whole family, all your pets, all your stuff, that even if you can't pay for it in cash and you have to finance it and it's such a expensive payment that you lose your house, you're gonna have a house on wheels. You could literally live in this thing and be pretty well off, honestly. Just go get a P.O. box number and enjoy it. Honestly, guys, I think if you are in the market for something like this, if you have any interest in it, just go to your local dealer, test drive one. Check out the competition though, make sure that it is the right feel for you, it is what you're looking for. And on that note, I want you to comment and tell me, have you owned one? Are you considering it? What are you comparing it to? And are you getting the Chevy or the GMC version of this? I do think it's a really good riding vehicle. You know, the mileage isn't great, but what it can do, the capacity that something like this offers is unreal. There's not many vehicles on the road that are this reliable, this powerful, and this luxurious. And at least it's under 6 figures, right? So if you enjoyed my style review, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you're interested in this specific one or the great inventory with those guys, I'm gonna link it below. And I hope you guys take care until the next video.